welcome to a special Patreon-only live stream. I know there's not a whole lot of you out there, but I figured I'd do a live stream just for you guys. I know it's kind of short notice, and I'm kind of hoping that at least a few people show up. So today I'm going to be giving away the UZ65 that I had entry for on my Patreon page. Only about 6 of you guys signed up for it, and it might just be because shipping overseas would just be, well, cost prohibitive, of course. Shipping out of the U.S. is no fun. I really haven't put a lot of information out there about myself, and one of my patrons, he kind of pointed out that I don't even know what my name is. So, hello. Thank you for being a patron. I greatly appreciate it. You guys help keep everything going that I do here. Start off, my name's Dan. I live in America, Southern Alabama. I've been flying drones for about 6 years. I've been helping people out, getting their stuff going and helping them tune, build, and just about everything in this hobby for at least about 4 years now. For some reason, I've really been able to figure out how to do it. I have a background in electronics. I'm in the military, United States Coast Guard. I know people are laughing. It's not really the military. It is military branch. Avionics electrical technician. So I work on the H-65 Dolphin helicopters. I do all the electrical and avionics repairs on those, as well as service flight crew, a flight crew instructor. So I've got a pretty extensive background in aviation and electronics. I do have my Part 107. I'm one of the few members of the Coast Guard that actually is part of our UAS program. Not that it's a very big program right now, it's still kind of in development. But that's just a little background on me. I've got a daughter and a wife, buttload of dogs. We foster dogs all the time. I think there's 6 of them upstairs right now. If you don't hear them, that'd be a absolute miracle. So anyways, I just thought I'd throw that out there. A little info about myself. If you guys are out there, go ahead and hit me up in the chat. Just want to know that somebody's out there listening. And yeah, really just recently started the live streaming thing. I like to interact with everybody. I have a very active Discord page. If you guys aren't part of it, you can find the links in. Let's see. I'll just put the link to everything here. So that link there will get you to a list of other links. So in there you can get to my Discord. I help a lot of people out get their gear going, especially with the new FR Sky stuff, with all the access and the D8, the not D8, and all that stuff. So it's been a lot of headache for people setting up, and I do a lot of help. I help a lot of people. Even today, help a guy out with a 2019 X9D SE binding to his very first drone with a ARC SR. So got him up and running, I think. At least he got bound. I don't know, he kind of dropped off after that. But I really don't ask for anything in return. Just trying to pay forward. I've learned a lot from other people in the community. Stu from UAV Futures, Bardwell, of course, you know, the man, the myth, the legend. That guy, I'll never take anything away from him. He's something else. This hobby has grown into almost a part-time job for me between YouTube, trying to release at least 2 videos a week, and a live stream. It's a lot. This is a lot of my free time. And my FPV grip business is booming. I'm really, really surprised. What was just kind of a pet project that I really enjoyed and it has made it out there. If you don't know, Race Day Quads, one of the larger retailers in the U.S., they're carrying them. I have a package onto another retailer that's going to go to Pyrodrone. They're going to start carrying those things. And I've already been restocking Race Day Quads a couple times in the last month and a half. I'm actually having a hard time keeping up with bringing the raw materials in to cut. So trying to work with Chinese vendors to get the materials direct instead of going through a middleman. But anywho, everything that comes into the channel goes right back into the channel. Any funds raised, any products that go into the channel, kind of like the the UZ65 here. This is a Banggood review unit. I know a lot of people hate Banggood. I honestly, I like Banggood. They've been good to me for a long time. And this is one of the review units they sent me. I did a review video on it, oh man, a couple months ago. And this was kind of like my end of last season quad for the race season. And I really liked it. It worked really well. The frame was a little brittle. I broke one frame. I've got a couple of replacements though, but it offers a lot that the other whoops that I used last year didn't. And the neat thing about this year is the whoop game has been going strong, like all summer long. Usually China takes a big lull as far as whoop development from the normal North American spring to fall, and then the winter time, end of fall, they start to ramp things up, especially before Christmas. They start coming out with new products, new developments, but they've just been going strong. It has to do with the whole Rona situation. Everybody's locked indoors. Everybody wants to go fly a drone, and these little whoops, they're keeping people flying. Oh, I need to put another video source here. Hang on one second. There we go. There's my silly mug right there. There you go. Yeah, so whoops have been going strong, but we're starting to get into the winter season, and our indoor series is going to open up. I need to figure out what my chariot for the season is going to be. 2 years ago, it was the Emax Tiny Hawk, and then the year after that, it was the Tiny Hawk 2 with a little bit of Mobula 6, and then this little guy at the end of the season. All worked really well. I was probably the fastest on the Tiny Hawk 2, even though on paper it really shouldn't be, but both my indoor timing testing on my little test track I have set up in my basement here, I was always faster on the Tiny Hawk 2 unless I crashed. That's the issue with the Tiny Hawk 2, is the turtle mode is pretty weak. So I've been trying to figure out what I'm going to do for a indoor racer for this year, and I think my candidate is gonna be this guy here. This is this just dropped. It's the Acro B Brain V2, and it's not a lot different than their last model, except for now it has the like an AIO board where it's the ESC receiver, VTX, flight controller all in one, kind of like the Happy Model board, which up till now Happy Model is about the only company that's been doing that, but now Newbie Drone has one. It's an American company. I know it's all stuff comes from overseas. Not that I really care all that much, but I've been buying a few more Newbie drone products. I recently picked up one of their brush drones. It's been forever since I've flown a brush drone, and this one has Project Mockingbird on it. And man, it flies like that can't be how how brush drones flew back in the day, because this thing is pretty nice. Unfortunately, no turtle mode, so you crash, you're done. If you're at a really well officiated race where there's spotters everywhere, that's kind of part of indoor whoop racing, is people will flip you over, put you outright back on the track. If you're in a very heavily officiated track, I think you could hold your own definitely with that brushed Newbie drone whoop with the Mockingbird and the silverware firmware on it. Really, really good flying drone. I was really surprised. It's light too. Dang, is it light, and it's quiet. Super quiet. But really kind of need that turtle mode for the races that we do with my group, the Delta 5 FPV. If you're in the southern Alabama, Mobile area, and you don't race, hit us up. Find us on Facebook, Delta 5. Come on over, have a race. I mean, you may only have an acro quad. Who cares? Go out, send it. Racing is a lot of fun, and it gives you a goal. It gives you something to work towards, and it can also be quite frustrating at times. I've been racing for a while now, and I'm still not great at it. I can fly fine without the timer. As soon as you turn the timer on and there's competition, I fold like a deck of cards, unfortunately. But I think this is going to be my my whoop of choice. And I think if not a lot of people get in here, I might just open this up to the public. Maybe just do some Q&A. So what I think I'll do, and here's another reason why I want to do a live stream, is I did get hit up on a Patreon about their terms of service. technically I can't do a giveaway just for my patrons. It violates their terms of service. I can do a competition. I tried that, and it's a pain in the butt. So I just want to do the straight giveaways like this. So what I think I'm going to do in the future is I'm still going to keep giving away stuff on my Patreon, except for I will have to leave it open to the public. And that may put you guys off, but here's the upside to it, is I will put it out to the public. I'll make it a public post, but I'm not going to advertise it anywhere. It'll just be on Patreon. So you folks being actual patrons, you will get the notifications if you have that set up on your end. You'll get the notifications when I post I guess that's how you say it. When I post the giveaways, you'll get the notifications, but I'm not going to go and put it out there for everybody. I'll keep doing the Google Forms thing, and I don't know. I mean, unless you guys think of a better idea, that's about the best thing I could come up with while still keeping Patreon happy. So, with that said, going forward, that's how I'm going to have to do this. And if you don't like that, I'm sorry, but that's just part of doing business. So, anyways, moving on from there, let us go over to here. So this is the UZ65. This is the guy that's going to be going up on the chopping block today. This one is FR Sky. It's an internal SPI, the typical happy model, crazy B board. Nothing too crazy about it. The cool thing about this quad, though, is it's a 65 millimeter output, not output, but footprint. But it has larger props of like a not quite a 75, but a little bit bigger. So there's a little more grab to them, a little more bite. And it does make a bit of a difference. It definitely flies better outside than a 65 millimeter whip would. And it does have a pretty beefy VTX on it, which is kind of nice. It has a 100 milliwatt VTX. So that's what's going to go today. I have the quad here and everything it came with. The whole box, batteries, 4 batteries, the foam pad, instructions, prop tool, all the things. So that'll be going out to one of my lucky Patreons. So let's go over to it. So if you don't know, I've been using Google Forms. It seems to be a pretty easy way to do this. Let's go ahead and I want to show everybody's email address if I can help it. So there we go, 6 unique entries. If you're one of my patrons and you haven't signed up and you're watching this, sorry you missed it. Make sure you have them notifications on. The only stipulation I have is you got to pay for shipping. But for the most part, if you're in the U.S., I'll cover shipping. It's the outside of the U.S. region. I know I've got a couple international patrons, and what I can do is I will split the shipping costs. So basically, whatever it would cost me to ship this in the U.S., I'll take that off what it costs to ship international. It's probably still going to be ridiculous. It's probably going to be like 25 bucks. International shipping outside the U.S. is just ridiculous. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this list into a wheel. Let's do a wheel of names. Here's the wheel of names. This is the one I've been using lately. I'm going to put it in there. Give it a couple shuffles. And thank you all for being a patron. I greatly appreciate it, and there'll be more of this stuff to come. And here we go. Good luck, everybody. And the winner is gonna be Brian Foghan. Foghan? I'm terrible with names. I'm terrible with pronouncing them, and I probably screwed. Ryan, congratulations! You are a winner. I will hit you up on Patreon, and we'll go over the details. And if for some reason Ryan doesn't want it, we'll just spin it again. Oh, and another thing about Patreon, my patrons on Patreon, I guess that's how you say it. If I do a giveaway on a live stream, like a public live stream, and nobody claims it, or they don't want it, or they don't want to pay for the shipping, it will go to you guys. Same sort of format, Google Forms, quick spin. Those will probably be like a couple days. They'll be out there for a couple days. Again, I'll have to make it public because of their terms of service, but if I don't tell anybody, then nobody knows. Okay, so Ryan, congratulations. And if any of you guys out there have a suggestion for a indoor racer for this year, let me know. I only see so many things, and you guys, there's more of you than there are of me, so there's a possibility that you come up with something more than what I have. Well, since I'm not really getting a whole lot of people hitting up the chat, I'm going to open this up to the public, and we'll see if anybody wants to come in and talk shop. I always like interacting with you guys, especially in this format where it's live. It's pretty fun. So there we go. And I will be, hey, John Larson, welcome, dude. Glad to have you here. Sorry you didn't make the cut and get the UZ65, but there's always next time. I have plenty of other things out there that I plan on throwing out. John, he's been a winner a few times. Longtime patron for sure. John, greatly appreciate all your support. But, anyways, so what do I got coming up on the channel? So I have the US65 Pro. That is one heck of a nice little indoor. Now, you know what? These whips are actually bordering on outdoor whoops because there's so much power packed into these things, especially being 2S. This thing really rips it outside. I had a lot of fun flying this outside. I think I did one IGAL match using this quad. If you don't know what IGAL is, it's International Game of Whoop. It's basically a game of horse, but spelled with whoop, obviously. And they have weekly challenges. You got to meet the challenge, or you get a letter. And it would probably do me well to use the same drone every time, but I go out with 3 or 4 different micros and would just do it with all of them and see which one I like the best. So far, my favorite non-HD quad has been this one. It's just has a ton of power, and it's very capable outdoors. But as far, I do like to try to do the HD, like the 1S HD boards, and I've been doing that with a custom-built 75mm quad. Basically, I bought a Mobula 6 HD, and it just sucked. Everything about it was terrible. So I gutted it, put it into a 75mm frame with bigger motors, and it's actually pretty nice. I think the 08 series motors are just too underpowered to haul around an HD board on 1S. Now I do have a Beta 65X HD that's on 2S, and that hauls around a HD board just fine. But yep, that's coming up on the channel. The 1S B-Brain something, what's it called? Let's just go find it here. The brushless, oh, nope, it was a brushed whoop. This guy, this one here, this was really good. I was surprised how well it flew. I haven't flown a brushed whoop in a long time. This thing was pretty nice. And I see they do have a new version of it out. So this is Project Mockingbird, but I think this one's a Betaflight board. Yeah, so this is a Betaflight board. And the cool thing about this one is it uses silverware, so there's no USB port on it. And the way the PID loop works on it is unlike anything else. This thing flies better than any Betaflight micro Betaflight whoop that I've ever flown. Same thing with the one from Beta FPV, the 75 Lite. That's on silverware. Man, it is one of the better flying quads I've ever flown. Yes, John, the Alienware, or the Alien Whoop Zero used to have silverware. That was very early in the silverware days, and that thing was ahead of the game. Just being able to do like the normal 5-inch acro moves was almost unheard of back when that thing came out. How'd you like yours? How'd you like your alien whoop? And these are just tiny drones. I mean, they're so light. They're quiet too. And it did come with a USB connector to flash Silverware, but I don't think Silverware has really done a whole lot of development uh, over the July 14th was the last time it was updated. So there's not a ton of development, but I don't think there needs to be a whole lot. There's not a lot they can do with it. John, yeah, that's what I figured. I would figure that it would be pretty darn good. But I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to fly for the race season because it's going to start up here. It's starting to cool off, but although in southern Alabama, when it starts to cool off, it's about when I want to start going outside. So, um, John Daniels, welcome to the live stream. I know it says Patreon only, but we went through, did the giveaway, and figured I'd open it up to everybody just to get a broader reach. I don't think YouTube pushes the notifications if I put it as unlisted. So I did put the notification out on Patreon, but figured I'd open up to everybody just to say hi, to see how everybody's doing, see if anybody's got any questions, anything I want to talk about. But John, so trying to figure out what I'm going to do for a 1S whoop this year. Flying Sasquatch, love that orange, dude. The pictures I got of the orange are just sick. Celis, welcome, buddy. How you doing? Did you get your Cinequeen yet? I mailed it out last week, and I'm really hoping you got it. Really hoping you ended up getting that thing. I hope it flies good for you. You may need to replace that receiver. I wasn't able to bind to it because that button's ripped off, so I desoldered it, soldered on my own receiver, tuned it, and I threw yours back on it. And by the way, you got me on that one, buddy. I just took your old receiver off, hooked mine up, put red, black, and yellow, and the receiver started smoking. Turns out you had the wires backwards. I mean, you had it wired up to your receiver the right way, but you had your color codes backwards. And I just assumed they were right, but luckily it didn't fry the receiver, and things are going just fine. John Larson built a Meteor 65 1S whoop with Crossfire 0802 1950 motors, and it is sweet. Yes, I got a Mobula 6. It's exactly the same thing you got there, and it is sweet. Last year, so 2 years ago, my whoop of choice for racing was the Emax Tiny Hawk S, just on 1S. Then the year after that was the Tiny Hawk 2, the Tiny Hawk S, then the Tiny Hawk 2, a little bit of Mobula 6 rolled in there, and then also this UZ75. This was pretty cool. This was right towards the end of the season. But I'm trying to think of something different this year. So it's just no big deal, dude. Wouldn't bother me anyways, but I was surprised when it started rolling smoke. I'm like, what happened? But receiver's fine. Didn't do any damage to it. Just got a little hot and started melting the heat shrink. I luckily caught it before anything bad happened. So anyways, yeah, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do for the race season. I think I'm going to go with probably this guy here. I do want to go with brushless, just because I really need turtle mode. If you're at a really well officiated race, you can get away with brush because somebody's going to be around to flip you over and set you straight. But my races, there's not a ton of people, so if you crash in the back corner someplace, you got to be able to get up and get going. My Tiny Hawk 2, on all the testing I do in my house with the Delta 5 timer, which is a very, very accurate timer, the Tiny Hawk 2 is faster than the Mobula 6 all day long. The UZ65 was very close. The thing that made the Mobula 6 and the UZ65 dethrone my Tiny Hawk 2 was turtle mode. Being able to just hit the switches quick, flip over, and get going instead of waiting for somebody to flip you around. That makes a huge difference. Oh, Aaron, awesome. So you got Tango 2 Pro. Celis, I did get your message on Discord. Just it's been a super busy week, or sorry, weekend. I just getting a chance to get around to you. How do I feel about the Mobula 6 for an indoor racer? I really liked it. I still have it. I have the 25,000 kV motor, the higher kV version, and I personally prefer that one because I'm also racing it in acro mode. I stopped flying in angle mode because the tracks that I'm flying have some pretty long straightaways, and one of the guys that I was flying with he was just mopping us up because he started flying in acro and was able to just get the nose down and haul ass on those straightaways, and he was just destroying us. So I started flying in acro mode, and I really like that extra oomph of those higher kV motors. The flight times were really low, but putting JESC and doing the 48 kilohertz PWM firmware on it makes a huge difference. It's like an extra minute and a half of flying. It is crazy how much of a difference it makes. You do lose a little bit of grunt at the bottom end, but it's a whoop. You really don't notice it. But the Mobula 6 is a great indoor racer. If it survives, the Happy Model build quality is questionable at best. The first one I got from Banggood for review, my buddy came over. He was excited to see it. I was excited. I plugged it in, armed it, went up in smoke. It's just the Happy Model way. Banggood was cool. They sent me a new board. We're square about a month later once it got here. But another problem I had with it is I have the motor bells slip on it. So you're exchanging quality for sheer performance on that one. But if you're not like competitively racing, it should be fine. I always take more than one whoop with me just in case, something like that happens or the dog gets it. The Tiny Hawk 2 is a great indoor racer. On my test track I have here, I fly all the whoops the same way, and I have a timer, like a legit race timer, and the Tiny Hawk 2 is always faster, unless I crash and have to use turtle mode. Then that throws it all off because the turtle mode is pretty weak sauce on it. It works, but it's not great. Drone Pilot, I've almost finished my custom beta FPV 95 V2 with iNav GPS compass. Oh my god, your thing is loaded. That would be really neat. I have not messed with iNav really at all, and I kind of want to. I have one of the Flywheel Explorers, but I just haven't messed with iNav too much. Speaking of the Flywheel Explorer, if anybody's interested in one, I recommend it. It is actually a very, very capable drone, but iFlight has started making their own version of it. Tiny Hawk 2 gets bad reception with my new Scout goggles. What antennas do you have on your Scout goggles? Because I don't know if the Scout have SMA or RPSMA, but that's something to look at because it's basically the way the pin sticks out of the antenna. If you have I think it's RPSMA, and your goggles are SMA, they'll screw on, but the pin won't actually go in anywhere. I'm sure that's not a problem. Oh, okay, so stock one, so you're probably fine. Yeah, see, bad reception. New Scout goggles. Let's see. I gotta remember how that's. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab some drones to show you guys. Yep. All right. Sorry. Told you it was gonna be quick. So here. Dang it, where is my Tiny Hawk? I don't know where my Tiny Hawk's at. I'll show you how I have mine set up. I honestly have no idea where my Tiny Hawk went. I guess that's a problem? Maybe? Well, I've lost a tiny hawk. I don't know where it went. I have no idea where it went. But I can't remember exactly how the tiny hawk comes. But so here's something to look at. So like take this Beta 75 light. The VTX antenna is sticking out the back here. And if you take and try to orient it up a little bit like this guy, that can make a huge difference in the reception. Just trying to get that up and keeping this element straight as much as possible. That helps out a ton. But some of these kind of like look at the Mobula 6 here. This one has this little copper wire in there for an antenna, and it goes all sorts of weird directions in there. This is a terrible setup for reception, but flying indoors on 25 milliwatts, it seems to work just fine for me. Same thing with this guy. I actually desoldered that little antenna and soldered on a little whip antenna. Yeah, try reorienting the antenna to be more upright, and definitely change out those antennas. The typical antennas that come on goggles are usually pretty much crap, because the manufacturers know you're going to change them. They just want to give you something to make it work. Oh, let's see. T-Bird, welcome, buddy. I'm glad to see you here. I have Flywoo F7. Okay. Building a whoop on R3D Shifter's Muon frame. Or the Acme V2 is going to be a killer. Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to pick one up and put it through its paces here in my test track, see how it goes. But yeah, this thing, it's super light, and it is really low profile, which is what I liked about the R3D Shifter's frame. There we go, bad streamer. It's really, really low profile, like super low pro. The Flywoo Explorer, so I have one of these, and this thing is really good. I mean, everybody's touting like super high flight times, but you could take a light race quad and putz around at 10% throttle and get pretty good flight times. But this thing, it performs really well, even at higher throttle. So it will definitely do some acro, and it does definitely get long flight times. It is not a basher. If you crash this thing, it's gonna break. Like, you're not supposed to go do crazy stuff with this. You're supposed to go fly it gently and land gently. Otherwise, you're gonna break it. But this one came out, the Chimera 4. This is iFlight's copy of it. A couple things I see about it that I don't like. By the way, I already pre-ordered one, because, like I said, all the money that comes in the channel goes right back into it, and then some, I'm sure. So it is not a dead cat style. I think it's a True X. It has all the normal stuff, the DJI camera, GPS, crossfire. It has a full-size 20x20 flight controller, which the Flywoo Explorer does not. So this is a 16x16, and they put the telemetry for the air unit on soft serial, which doesn't work well. The OSD disappears, jumps around. It kind of sucks. But yeah, so there you go. There's that True X style. Oh, not a True X. It's a Stretch X. A very slight Stretch X. But now I'm seeing they're offering a dead cat conversion plate for an extra $10. Unfortunately, that should be what it comes with, based on what the intent of this drone is. So, kind of weird right there. Yeah, give it a shot. Oh, geez. Let's go to race day quads. What am I looking at? Antennas. Video receiver antennas. Oh, they don't have them, do they? Let's go to power down. here we go. So a couple companies are carrying these. These are the new double axis antennas. These things are supposed to be pretty darn good. So I would give one of those a try. The longer the better. The farther you can get the antenna up above your water bucket of a head, the better reception you're going to get, for sure. 26 minutes of flight time? Wow. Oh, on a lithium ion. Okay, so that makes sense. Lithium ion has a lot of power, but it just can't give it up very quickly. Yeah, Drone Campus did a review. It does definitely get some super long flight times. Pretty nice drone though, really well built. I've made a few of Dave C's frames. He puts them on Thingiverse, and I cut them out of carbon fiber. I made the what was it? The Gate Hunter. It was a sub 250 5-inch race frame. It's ultra light, really thin, but it worked really well. It's a fun little project. But anyways, yeah, I think that's gonna be. I'm definitely going to get that one in, just to give that a try. I've been flying this little guy. This is the first brushed whoop I've flown in a very long time, and either I don't remember how good they were, or this is just way better than what I used to fly. It's like super quiet, super light, ton of power, runs silverware. So same thing with this one. This one runs silverware as well. So very different flight characteristics and very good flying drones. But yeah, this was my Mobula 6 race frame, and this is my racer, and this is the one on 25,000 kV motors. I would suggest getting this one over the lower kV because you can always put a throttle scale on it. At least in my opinion, I would prefer that have that extra oomph, which is nice for flying outdoors. Okay, autofocus, you need to stop. There you go. Sorry about the pulsing of the camera, guys. Yep, I love whoops. I love drones. I love my drone people. You guys are what makes this hobby awesome. The drones help too, for sure. Winter's coming. Whoops are required. Yeah, and that's been the theme of this entire pandemic is. The whoop season really hasn't stopped. All these manufacturers have been pumping out new models, new drones, new whoops, especially whoops, because everybody's locked indoors and they're trying to capitalize on that market. That's why, like, North American wintertime is when all this cool stuff comes out. Is everybody's inside, but everybody's been inside all summer long, and they've been capitalizing on it. And we've definitely, in this aspect, we've benefited from it for sure. Usually summertime's a pretty dead spot for whoops, but lots of nice stuff coming out. The UZ or the US65 I reviewed, that thing is just an absolute ripper. I don't know if I would recommend that for an indoor flyer, but it definitely kicks butt outside. I built a couple Forest lithium ion packs, but the things weigh a ton. Which is kind of the downside to lithium ion. They're heavy, and I've done some poking around. I think I could probably get a LiPo pack that has the same milliamp capacity as a lithium ion pack. But the nice thing about lithium ion is you can drop those things down to, I think, like 2.5 volts per cell, so you can really get into them before you have to worry about damaging it. Whoops and toothpicks, yeah, they've been big this year. What do I like to fly more, 65 or 75 millimeter frames? 65 indoors, 75 outdoors, for sure. Although there are some pretty good flying 65 millimeter whoops outdoors, the Mobula 6 is probably the best all-rounder with the 25,000 kV motors. I know it doesn't look like a Mobula 6, but that's got the Meteor 65 frame on it, because that's a much better frame than what came on it. Yeah, 65 millimeter indoors for sure. Mostly because the whoop races I do, the extra size of the 75 millimeter frame would definitely be a hindrance rather than an advantage. But yeah, outdoors, this guy's pretty good, but the higher KV motors really make a big difference on it. This thing flies pretty good outside too, and it's a brushed whoop. But then again, it all depends on environmental conditions. If it's windy out, they're all going to fly pretty crap. This one here, this one is my current favorite. It doesn't fly the best, but it's the best HD board one I have. This is a 1S custom build. It's basically a clone of this guy, just different flight controller. And I'm waiting for more of these frames to show up so I can put it on there. This is Beta FPV's older frame, and I mean it's like Jello soft. This is a much more rigid frame, definitely a better built frame. Can I upgrade Tiny Hawk 2 motors? You can, but I wouldn't. There's not much of an upside to it. The problem with upgrading their motors is you're not going to be able to use their props anymore. You're going to have to use standard props, and the Tiny Hawk props are designed very much to work with that inverted duct style. So, Drone Pilot, the low C rating of some new LiPo packs is now comparable to lithium-ion packs. So yeah, I agree. Wouldn't consider it unless it's 5-inch or larger. Yeah, exactly. I bought a bunch of stuff to make a battery spot welder, but I got lazy and just took the old Heiko to the 18650s and let her rip. It seems to work. Wouldn't recommend it. Please don't do that. John Larson, I built two to 3S 85mm whoop. On 2S it's so controllable. On 3S it rips pretty good. Yeah, so I find that when you start flying indoors in a really tight race environment where you're flying through the 16 by 16, the official whoop size gates, having a lot of power doesn't help you unless it has a lot of control. So I typically would take something like that and I would prop it up, like go with a 4-blade prop so I have extra bite, and drop the throttle limit to like maybe 75%. But the big thing you need to do, all right, so here's my secret to indoor whoop flying is acro or angle mode doesn't really matter. I've started flying acro mode because you can be faster with it. The other trick is to shut off air mode. You're not going to be doing acrobatic stuff. You're going to be straight line racing. So air mode doesn't really help you out. But what taking air mode off does is when you bump into a gate, instead of your quad hitting it and going off into the distance, it just kind of bobbles around a little bit. With air mode on, when you hit that gate, the PID loop overreacts and makes you go flying. The other one is there is a not very much talked about parameter in Betaflight. I'm looking for my I got a dead board. Be right back. Hang on. I have a dead flight controller that I use for demonstration purposes. By the way, I'm on a wireless lav, so that's why I'm able to talk to you guys while I'm away from the camera. So I have a dead fried Beta FPV board here. Unplug my cheapo Stream Deck. By the way, if anybody wants to buy a Stream Deck, an Elgato one, you can build one like this for about $8. So I know the Elgato stuff's pretty nice though. So let's go ahead and hook this up here. We'll fire up the old Betaflight. And I didn't set up that scene. Stand by. Alright, you guys should still be able to hear me. I'm setting up a scene in the background. Video capture device. A5100. Hey, there I am. Sorry, OBS kind of crapped out on me a little while ago, and I have to rebuild everything from scratch on this computer. So this is my kind of like my main working computer. When I do my other live streams, I'm in the room over behind my wall behind me, and I'm just doing that on a newer laptop. Let's see, and I need to add a window capture, beta flight, okay, there we go. So we got beta flight up. Go ahead and transform, stretch the screen, and move him down. There we go. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Brio's got to get smaller. Sorry, talking to myself, guys. All right, so there is, actually, I don't need that on there. I'll take that away. There we go. Okay, sorry. So we're in beta flight here. Let's go ahead and connect her up. So get crash. So here we go. We have a feature called crash recovery. Right here, this one, crash recovery. Let me see if I can. So, crash recovery. So you gotta have the. I think you have to have the accelerometer enabled for this one. If you set this to on, when it detects an extreme amount of movement, and there's all sorts of parameters in here to set it. When you bang into something and the PID loop and the gyro don't agree with the set point, which is your sticks, it automatically enables angle mode, stabilizes you, and then goes back into acro or whatever other mode it was, or it'll hold a certain angle, or it'll only allow a certain amount of angle of crash recovery. So come up to here, it says crash recovery angle 10. So that's the most amount of down angle it is going to put in when it does crash recovery. It's 10 degrees. So if you experience when you bump into stuff and your quad goes off into the moon, set this up, try that, see if it makes a big difference, or if it helps. It makes a huge difference for me, especially flying acro. If you pile drive into a gate instead of getting wrapped around it or bounced off into the wall, it makes a big difference. All right, Fritz, dude, see you next time, man. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. So, anywho, since I did open this up to the public, the live stream, I'll definitely do a shameless plug for my link tree. Link, LINKTRE. So if you go to that, dude, oh man, I butchered that. Man. There we go. Don't use that first one. That first one was bad. Remove. There we go. If you go to that has all the tweet stuff, all the affiliate links, all the Patreon, the Discord, email address, stuff like that. If you want to get a hold of me, hit that link. It's just an easier way to direct everybody to one repository. I've actually been considering starting up Tweet FPV, trying to do like a web page. I think I'm going to at least buy the domain. I don't know if I'll do a website, but I kind of want to. We'll see though. Anyways, so that is something that I've set up on a lot of my racing, my indoor whoops, just because it does seem to help it does seem to help with the crashes. It helps make them not as severe, if that's what words, sorry. So, anyways, man, for all you guys showing up late, this was a Patreon only live stream because I did give away a drone over there on Patreon. It was the UZ765, and one of the things that I wanted to discuss was that doing Patreon giveaway, I got pinched by Patreon basically. They said I was in violation of their terms of service, threatened to take me down because I cannot technically do a giveaway for Patreons only. It is akin to gambling, and I see their point, and they're entirely correct. It sucks. I don't like it, but what I like doesn't really matter. You got to pay to play. So, going forward, all of my Patreon giveaways will be public. But here's the kicker, and this is what I noticed that Bardwell started doing. It's a really good idea, and if he's doing it, then it's got to be above water. I'm going to do a Patreon giveaway and leave it public, but I'm just not going to tell anybody. If you're a patron, you'll get the notifications if you have that set up, so that should be your in to get into the Google Forms to be part of the giveaway. But yeah, that's just the way it is. Celis, I have no idea what letter I'm at for the why didn't that work? Oh, forgot I disconnected things. Disconnected stuff and junk. All right, I don't know what letter I am. Let's go find out right now. Important links. IGO. Where is the spreadsheet? Okay, here's the spreadsheet. So we're going to go to the IGO spreadsheet. Here is all the players. Yep. Let's find me. Tweet FB, I'm at a W and a H. I failed to follow directions on week 2. That was the Split S and the Immelman. My Immelman was super weak sauce, and they got me for that one, unfortunately. This one here, so the dark green, was honorable mention. I think Jesse Perkins really liked that video. He was judging him. That was flips and rolls through gaps is what I was doing. Here, what happened here? This was, which week was this? Week 6. Oh, it was power loops. I again didn't follow the directions. It was supposed to be a power loop, a power loop, Maverick loop, and a power flip loop, something like that. Basically, I did a power loop, all right, here we go. So power loop is going up and over, a Maverick loop is going through and up and back through, and then a power flip was going up, doing another flip, and then back through. That's the one I missed. Even when I was doing it, I'm like, I don't understand this. It feels just like a power loop. Well, that's because I was doing it wrong. Week 7, I was fine, and week 8, which I haven't watched the IGOW thing because it's hours. It's hours of watching. Apparently, I pulled it off. That was sketchy. I almost tapped out on that one. This is right after the hurricane that just came through. It rained Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday it didn't rain. Everything was wet, but it was like 20 knot winds the whole time I had a chance. And I was about to cash it in because Friday I was supposed to work from like 8 till 8 the next day, so I wouldn't have been able to get my video in. Turns out I screwed up my schedule, and I was working my normal shift. It was sunny, dry, and calm. I managed to go out and knock out the video. I didn't put a lot of effort into it because I just had to do it, get it done, and get it up. So, anyways, let's see. Anyone want to sell a Tiny Whoop? Not really. Nicholas Briggs, what kind of Tiny Whoop are you looking for? I gotta look through the stash. I might have something. Aaron, good night, man. We'll see you around, and hopefully you get that video issue straightened out. Yeah, drone pilot. Like I've got all of these, and they all serve a purpose of some sort. Mostly just to entertain me. Yeah. Yeah, the one with Jesse Perkins. I think the thing that really caught him is I opened it up with trying to fly through a newbie drone gate that I had hung from underneath my Mavic Air. Stupid idea, by the way. And I managed to make it through it. And then the thing that I think he really liked, besides that being super challenging, is the gate flying, like whipping around underneath the drone. I did a transparency layer through that, where I went through that scene into an HD scene in a different area. I've been trying to start out with doing analog, and then that's what I really like about this quad here, is this is a 1S HD carrier. This one here's 2S, but I'm convinced at this point that 65 millimeter is not enough surface area on props to be able to carry an HD board, the extra weight of it on 1S. On 2S, this one is okay. This thing just flies like garbage, though. I haven't put a ton of effort into it, though. But on 1S, 75 millimeter is about the bare minimum you can get away with. This on 2S would be pretty interesting. Now, let's see. Drone pilot, I like flying in total dark now. I have small LED in the front of some whoops. High-vis reflective tape for gates. Works. Sweet. I did one nighttime race at my house with my Delta FPV group. That's the multi-GP group I fly with. And I had it out in my yard, and I had lit LED gates all over the yard, up over my garage and back into my garage. And it was a ton of fun, but when you go through a gate, and it was supposed to be like, you got to memorize the track. So you go through a gate and you're supposed to whip around 180. You go through the gate and it is just complete darkness. Until you turn around and you see this little tiny light floating in the horizon. You just kind of work up to it, and it was a lot of fun. But a lot of carnage, a lot of crashing. HD micro. I bought the Mobula 6 HD, and I do not recommend you buy that unless you want it for parts. That's what is mostly inside of this. The flight controller, HD board, and camera, that's all Mobula 6 HD. The motors, frame, and props, those were all, well, not the props, but the motor and the frames, that's all Beta FPV. But again, it's got to be pretty low. You can't be all that windy out for that to work well. If you do have a tiny whoop that I can't bind to my Tyrannus X, then I'm interested. I assume you've got a X Lite Tyrannus. Most, if not all, of the tiny whips can bind to it. I'm assuming you have a access enabled radio. Oh yeah, I see you can. Drone pilot, he says he likes the Beta FPV micro HD board. It does work well. I like it. That's what's in this guy here. But when looking at the footage side by side, this one, I think the video looks better, and the FPV video is 10 times better, if you can get past that. But they're both good. I definitely do prefer this one, though. This is the RunCam split light nano to elemental P, whatever the heck they're calling it. That's definitely my pick for the HD boards. It's a weight thing. Yeah, I get that for sure. Yeah, Nicholas, most whoops that have SPI can bind in D16, which if you have an access radio, which I'm guessing you do, you can bind it in D16. It's not great. The range is usually pretty shit on it, but I do have a video on how to do it if you're curious. Let me do the searchy thing. Let's go here. Copy, paste. Check that out. That'll help set you up with being able to bind all these nice little micros we got going on with your access enabled radio, but you're also going to need to do a lot of configuring on your radio. So this is the other video. Watch that second one first, then go to the one after that. Yep, drone pilot, that is correct. D16 won't bind if you have upgraded the firmware on the internal module. That is a fact, unfortunately. The other option you can always do is put an external receiver on, but that's added weight, and nobody wants that. Did my first multi-GP race in quite a while yesterday. Had a ton of fun. Let's see, Nicholasburg. So what do you do then? Just buy a new radio? No, you buy an external module for it. yeah, the Vantech, iRange X, and the XJT light modules are kind of what you're looking for. Then you can buy into D8, and that's definitely the preferred way to go with these micros, is to go with D8. You can also do something called Red Pine, which is another D8 protocol, which Betaflight 4.2 supports, and the multi-protocol modules support that too, and it's proven to have much lower latency and better range. In my testing, the range was pretty much the same, but the problem with these SPI boards is you can have two boards, same quad, one will go 5 feet and one will go 500 feet. They're so inconsistent as far as their range goes. But Red Pine's another option out there, and I've been meaning to do a video on it, but again, not much time between 2 videos a week and a live stream and the grip business. Struggling. Yeah. You think that's bad? All right. Let me give you guys a treat here. So, you think brick buildings are bad? Check this out. So, my walls are brick. My ceiling is corrugated steel. So, you want to talk about RF trap? There you go. But even with the SPI boards on D8, I can fly from here upstairs all around my upper part of my house and back down without losing signal. On D16, I get halfway up the stairs and I lose it with the SPI boards. There's a huge difference between D8 and D16 on them. And then they're all different. Like, I've had some that are really good and some that are just complete garbage. The Ishin Twig, like, straight out in front of me, 6 feet, it literally would fail safe at 6 feet. I have no idea why. I think so. In my testing and my experience, when you fly on D16 and you fail safe, the flight controller tends to lock up. Like, the timer will stop running. You can't recover it. You gotta power cycle it. And I think I think it's so D16 sends double the information through the packets from the radio and back. And I've heard people say, "Oh, I turn off telemetry." None of it helps. It's the amount of data that comes through the packet is too much for the SPI receiver to handle. I have heard that Betaflight is working on a software fix for it, but I haven't seen it materialize yet. Nicholas Briggs, what tiny whoop would you suggest for the most value for your money? I'm probably going to try and buy one soon. Best value for money would be the Mobula 6. Yeah, Mobula 6 would probably be my go-to quad. Yeah, Mobula 6. As of right now, I'm sure there'll be some new stuff coming out soon, though. Yeah, D16 is garbage. You can do it if that's the only way you can go and fly your quad. Like, let's say you just bought a new radio and you bought a micro and you didn't know that the D8 thing, you can get going on D16, but your results may vary, and they definitely will. The best SPI I've got is on the Beta FPV 1S board. Yes, those in my experience have been the best. But I've also gotten a happy model that have done just as well. But their happy model's more inconsistent about how well they work. And I think it has a lot to do with just poorly tuned antennas. Not that anything's really tuned. It's just a chunk of rubber coming out of the top of the board. Yeah, Nicholas, I would say the Mobula 6, as of right now, with what's out there, is probably the best option out there. And just so I can be a good streamer, here's a dirty, shameless plug to here, Linktree. If you go to Linktree, if you go to that Linktree address here, damn it. Why does that not work? All right, if you go to this, you'll get this website here, and it's basically just a bunch of links. If you're gonna go and purchase a something from Banggood or wherever, if you want to help me out, you absolutely don't have to. But this is what helps get more product into the channel. Banggood especially, they see what people buy using my affiliate links, and that justifies them to send more stuff to me. Most of the stuff on my channel is provided by myself. Banggood, very few things, maybe one a month if that. So yeah, just click through there. All the important links: YouTube, Patreon, Instagram, Facebook, email. This is a big one if you want to get a hold of me. Banggood's affiliate. Getafuse is an affiliate, and so is Amazon. And then if you want to get on my Discord, if you need help setting up that D16 radio or that access radio on D16, head on over to Discord. I help out pretty much at least 3 people a week. It's pretty ridiculous. PayPal if you just want to send some love, and my grips on my Etsy store. Shameless plug. I don't know if it's bad that I'm feeling less and less dirty about doing that, but gotta play the game, I guess. Celis, you can use XJT module for most SPI receivers. Gonna tell Aaron to order one for his new controller. You said Aaron has a Tango 2. Big news with the Tango 2 is it will not work with the FR Sky XJT light module. Big surprise, right? TBS is saying it's a hardware incompatibility, which I don't know if I buy that. They also don't have it in their version of Freedom TX, but the iRange 4X module, the Vantech module, and TBS also has their own module coming out. Those will all work. So, Nicholas Briggs, how do you enter this giveaway? Well, the giveaway is over with. I've already done that, and that was through my Patreon. So, over on Patreon, I try to give away something at least once a week. No, sorry, not once a week, once a month or so. And that's how you enter it. It's through Patreon. And as of today, it's open to the public because you cannot give things away that require an exchange of money. So by making it not public, and you have to be one of my tiers, it's akin to gambling, at least in Patreon's eyes. So it's a violation of terms of service. And I want to keep things on the up and up with them because I do like Patreon. It does give people a way to support me and for me to give back to them. Everything I use or everything I bring into the channel pretty much gets put right back into it. Let's see. So, yeah, I'm curious what the TBS module is going to look like. Or what it's gonna, or how it's gonna work. Basically, it's gonna be good, I'm sure. TBS doesn't make crap. They're just jerks about it. I left TBS a long time ago. I left Crossfire entirely for R9. I found higher value with the exact same performance in R9 because RF is RF. You can't reinvent that. That's just science. They're making magical claims on it. I did range testing with R9, set it up on a servo for failsafe, put my radio on the fence post, and just drove down the road. And when I would failsafe, I had a little flag that would come up. R9 and Crossfire failsafe at the exact same spot. Exact same spot. And then back then, the R9 put out more power than Crossfire did, so that went just a little bit further, was way cheaper. It's more of a pain in the butt to use, but it worked just fine. Recently, I received a bunch of Archer receivers from FR Sky, my first pre-release product I've ever gotten. So they sent me that. I did a lot of range testing. I did a little bit of firmware help with them. Things helped them work out a few bugs. It's really good. I've strapped that whole contraption I have for testing for failsafe onto my Mavic Air, and it outruns my Mavic Air. Yeah, pretty impressive. So I did the same test, threw it on the dashboard of my car, and headed down the road, and guess where the Archer RS failsafe's at? The exact same place Crossfire and R9 did at 100 milliwatts. Pretty impressive. And it's super low latency. I think it's 7 milliseconds latency. So there is a reason to have the new FR Sky radios with access. Is the new stuff coming out is going to be better. And that was the only way that they could get past that roadblock of the old XJT module, is to develop a whole new system. And then the whole D8 thing, that I have it on good authority that has to do with regional RF management, because every person, so, all right, check this. Everybody who's in the US, you buy an older FR Sky radio, you hook it up to a quad and you go. It's perfect, works great. Every other country has to meet LBT requirements. So everybody in other countries that is flying an FR Sky radio, the first thing they had to do was flash FCC firmware to it. So right there, you're already violating whatever the local RF policies are. So in the US, we have the FCC. Other countries, I'm sure they've got a something acronym program. But everybody is instantly violating everything in their country if they use LBT, especially micros, D8. D8 is not legal to use in LBT countries, basically the entire EU. D8 is not legal, never has been. So I think to be able to keep importing their products, they had to make the radios region specific. So every new FR Sky radio, when you check the firmware, it'll say LBT or FCC. If it says FCC, it's going to talk one way. If it says LBT, it's going to talk another way. So they just took D8 out of the picture entirely, because what's going to happen is if it could do D8, if you were on FCC, people in the EU would just make them work in D8 mode. A lot of acronyms there. I hope I didn't lose anybody, but that's my theory. That's a pretty educated theory, by the way, but that's the reason for it. Yes, they still sell the modules, but then that's the user's intent to use that. So it gets into a bunch of legalese. A lot of the stuff's all about intent. It's kind of like flying, if you fly a drone on a YouTube video and it's monetized and you don't have your Part 107, that's illegal, because you recorded that video with the intent to monetize it. You got to have the Part 107. Granted, nobody ever does that. Same thing with ham license. None of our gear, sorry, this is going to be a little ranty stream. None of our gear is Part 51 certified. None of it. You cannot fly any of this stuff here without a ham tech license. How many people have a ham technician's license that fly this hobby? Not many. There's a few. There's not many. Ham tech license is really easy to get. But none of this stuff, the video transmitters specifically, are not legal to fly in the US. It's just the way it is. Nobody's going to catch you. Nobody's going to know. But it is what it is. And that's what people have been doing with the FR Sky radios over in the EU for a while now. They've just been making them work regardless of what's legal and what's not. Rant over, I think? Yeah, rant over. For now. Will Radio Master Jumper be able to do Archer at some point? Absolutely not. Radio Master Jumper, they don't make anything. They make a fancy box to put Jelly Bean electronics in. They make a really nice fancy box to put those electronics in, but what do they make? What do they develop? What have they produced? They've made a receiver that uses all FR Sky technology. They have transmitters, they're all FR Sky words. It's all FR Sky technology. The multi-protocol part of it is all open source, so there's nothing special being developed there. No, you'll be left in the dark if FR Sky goes to all access receivers, unfortunately. And that's where this hobby is starting to get really dirty, is everybody's starting to get that Apple, the Apple mindset. You know, Apple marketing is, we make an ecosystem, we make it good, and you got to stay in it. You know, I use Android. If I bought an iWatch, I would lose a ton of functionality. It would probably work, but yeah. XJet is the king of rants, but dude, he is. So this is just an observation of mine, but once he announced that he has Parkinson's, he has really started pushing the envelope, and good for him, dude. Like, he's really out there irritating the locals and the authorities, but he's doing it the right way, and he's entirely correct, in my opinion, anyways. If anybody's seen his last video, he built a ADSB or ADSB, depending on how you want to say it, receiver on a Raspberry Pi. That thing is sweet. I am definitely going to build one as soon as he releases all the information on it. I am totally down for building one. ADSB is pretty cool, but I don't believe in the U.S. all aircraft are required to carry ADSB. I think it's I don't know what the cutoff is, but it is what it is. I use Maytech GPS with a compass unit. It's tiny, really accurate, etc. Till you drop one in the workshop and it bounces away somewhere and you can't find it. Forces me to clean the floor. Still lost. Oh no. I have a little box of all my M3 hardware for like standoffs and mounts. I dropped that thing in the carpet yesterday, and I was just so pissed. I was like, damn it, I gotta go find. I just scooping up hardware everywhere. I was so irritated. Vicious, welcome. Glad to have you here. So, anyways, that's my rant on Access. I do like Access. This is the one I keep by my side. This radio will never go anywhere. But now with TBS being able to use multi-protocol modules, I definitely use it a lot less because I like the form factor of the TBS. Did that with stainless M2 bolts. Can't even use a mag to pick the darn things up. Yeah, that's a bummer. Is the blue one a 75? I have a Meteor 75, and I think Rips. No, it's a 65X HD. So it's a 2S'er, 65 millimeter with an HD board on it. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend this unless you want to spend some time tweaking and tuning. Ton of jello. The video's almost useless out of it. If you can see, I've got a chunk of foam jam between the front because they don't mount the camera in 4 spots, and they mount it in 3, and this one would flap around and just cause all sorts of jello. That's why I like this mount, because it's a 4-point mount, although I have cracked it, so this one does have a ton of jello now, but I've also crashed it from about 100 feet up. No, they absolutely are not. 2S65mm ropes are not fun. They sound really good, like the motors spool up really, really clean, but they're, I don't know. You're right. Something about them is just not fun to fly about them. Yeah, it looks similar to the 75. So this one here, these two are 75 mil quads, and then this one here is a 65. So you can see. I mean, other than just using math and a ruler, you can see there's a. Oh, I'm failing hard at this one. Okay, it doesn't look so bad there, but there's quite a bit of difference. Yeah, anyways. So, yeah, the FR Sky's doing some cool stuff with the Access. The over-the-air firmware updating is money. You only got to push the bind button once. If you want to switch from one controller to another, you can share that bind to another radio, which is kind of cool. Yeah, 200 grams, or sorry, 20 grams is pretty nice. 2021 is a lot of fun. This one here is on 25,000 kV motors, and it is just an absolute riot. This thing is, for being a 65 millimeter whoop, this thing is great doing acro outside. Comes down hot. Batteries don't last long. They puff up pretty quick. So let's see if this. So like I said, I did a multi-GP race yesterday, and while we were setting up, let me do some screen share here. We had a little issue with some lipos. They kind of caught on fire. We were out setting up the track, and someone turned around and said, fire! So I hauled ass across the field, snatched the fire extinguisher up off the wall onto the awning, squeezed the hammer, and Nothing. Not a damn thing, unfortunately. And I took my little girl with me to help us clean up. She was a good sport about it. Usually she's the one that goes around and picks up the cones, but she's a super big helper lately. And I got to ride a one wheel for the first time. Never ridden a one wheel, and this thing was just so much damn fun. And I'm trying to talk myself out of buying one, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose that conversation. Also, really cool thing I found out about it is I've also crashed a one wheel for the first time. And when you crash, holy shit, it hurts. It is just hurling your ass towards the ground. I landed this shoulder and my arm underneath me and on my face, and I'm pretty sure I broke my nose. It's swollen, hurts like hell, but heard something snap, and it's been pretty sore. That was pre-crash right there. But a lot of fun. Let's see. I think I got some good packs getting lit up.
Probably what I caught on
This one over here, that sucker was a big ball of flames. Got that super slow-mo. Tuck and roll, yeah, for a big guy, I crash gracefully. I've ridden dirt bikes my entire life, basically, since I could walk. I've been riding dirt bikes. Two things I've noticed in my time is on a dirt bike, you get about a split second to realize what happened, tuck and roll, and kind of put a shoulder into it. Mountain biking are probably some of the worst crashes I've ever had because you're riding along just fine, and then you're on the ground, like instantly, like propelling yourself into the ground, and man, it hurts. That's how this one wheel was. So when you crash, the nose tips forward, so it does that. It throws you forward and into the ground, and it is brutal. But that was a one wheel pint. That was a ton of fun, and I'm trying to talk myself out of buying one. But yeah, God, they're expensive though. So expensive. But anyways, yeah, we had a battery catch on fire on the bench, so there's a big scorch mark. It happens. It happens. Had a 6S 2600 milliamp go up. Ooh, yikes. That's a lot of angry pixies trying to get out. Yeah, so it really kind of makes me rethink how I recharge packs. Like I've gotten pretty relaxed lately. I'm be honest, like I started charging some packs, did some stuff, walked away for a minute, and then I'm like, oh, I should go for a run. I went for a run, came back, and realized I still had packs on a charger. Stupid. And the worst part is I have a bat box. Every one of my batteries I charge gets charged on top of the bat box because the bat box is a pain in the ass to use. And it's in a room with T111 paneling on the walls and rough sawn lumber on the ceiling in a basement in my house. So you can imagine how well that'll go over if something happens. So need to be smart about it. And I've had a lot of packs just spontaneously go bad lately. You know, plug them in on a 6S and there's only 5 good cells. Yeah, it's been weird. Weird ways. Yeah, it was a hard crash. My chest has a big bruise right here because I had my watch on, and when I hit, my watch rotated and went into my chest. But I got up, my sunglasses are all cockeyed, the lenses are popped out of them. But I got back on it, kept riding. I had to save my pride somehow. But it was a lot of fun. It was amazing how intuitive it was to just get on it and go. I've never ridden a skateboard in my life. Closest thing to board sports was skiing when I was a kid, but picked it up pretty quick, and then it put me down pretty quick. Celis, yeah, maybe investing in smoke detector batteries, not a bad idea. And if any out there don't know Celis, dude's been sending it. He's really hitting the scene hard. Videos almost daily. Really. And you've done some really interesting videos. They're really cool. I'm really digging your style. Vicious snitches. Yeah, fat guys should not try to jump fences for their quads. I fit into that fat guy camp. I think I'm graceful for a fat guy, but not. Yeah, I fall down well. I'll put it that way. So a buddy of mine gave me a ammo can full of junk lipos, and I was going to do some lipo bag testing, and I just haven't really found the time or a good way to go about doing it. I was going to build a little scale house to put them in, just I don't know, just for shits and grins. But lately, I burn a lot of my paper products out back just because recycling here doesn't really exist, and I've just been taking the 18650s and just been tossing them in there. And man, those things pop pretty well. Yeah, we're healthy. I don't know. Look at. It's always interesting to go back and look at TV from like the 60s and 70s and who was the fat guy on the TV, and they're just like they're not fat guys. They're just big. Like fat has changed a lot throughout the years, and I've been keeping up with it, unfortunately. Yeah, Celis, post a link to your YouTube, buddy. Let's get you some more subs. Actually, no, actually, Celis, you're a mod. You can do it. Go do it. So anyways, got a new backpack. Buddy of mine was getting out of the hobby, and he wanted out. So he had a Torvald bag. I bought it from him for a pretty good price. And yesterday was my first time out with the Torvald bag, and I gotta say I like it. I think I like it more than my Low Pro, a little bit more, but not a lot. They both have their pros and cons. I'll probably keep using the Torvald. There's a few things I like about it better, but I also got to put my hands on the new Race Day Quads bag, which I gotta say is probably the best value in FPV backpacks there is right now. It's not super well constructed. It's good enough for the price. The zippers are some off-brand, but the poles are really nice. This is exactly how Torvald does them. But the things like the liner here, like the separators, it's not as good as what you would expect in a Torvald, or not that Torvald has that, but it's not super thick. It's good enough. But the thing I really liked about it was the layout of it, especially the tool organization. This is way better than anything in the Torvald or the Low Pro. This is very nice. It's a good day bag. It's smaller, so if you're going to go on a trip, it would probably fit in a plane way better. My Low Pro, with the quads inside of it, doesn't quite fit in the overhead very well. I think the bag's a little too tall. Yeah, vicious snitches. Yeah, normally, yeah, and until they got gout. Until they got gout. I use a clumper bag, tough as nails, not meant for FPV, but works for me. Yeah, just a regular backpack, and there's a thing called a Grimlock, Grimlock. So most backpacks have molly webbing on them, just because, everybody's tactical. But there's these things called Grimlocks, and these work really, really well on molly webbing for attaching quads. They're just plastic. Molly webbing goes through the hook here, and then these are just a push button to open them up, open and close them. These work really well. I was very, very happy with that. And the guy that suggested that, he used to own a drone shop. It was, oh man, I can't remember the name of the company. He went out of business pretty quick, unfortunately. He was a super cool guy. Really liked him. Yeah, so the quad that Celis is flying is the one that he sent me for the online, or the live build that I did to it. Live build and tuning, and I gotta say that that Radix flight controller is something else. And and that was the other thing I noticed about this Acrobee is the gyro they're using is bad streamer. The gyro they're using is the Bosch gyro. So, whoa, that was way too much. There we go. They're using the Bosch gyro. So, really interested. I'll probably pick one of these up just because. Yeah, why not? And you folks on Patreon and YouTube and all those places, the people who buy through my affiliate links, they're the reason why I'm able to get the stuff in here, test it out, go through it, and then give it back to the community. Yeah, so I was impressed with it. The only thing I really wasn't a big fan of is that RunCam hybrid. Something, it's almost like it has a weird image stabilization to it that on yaw moves it just doesn't keep up. That's the only thing I didn't really like about it, but for what it is, it works really well. I really like the FPV view in it, so between that and the Tarsier, they're both really, really good. It certainly beats trying to find a GoPro to strap to it. Nicholas Briggs, I have a 6S LiPo battery. After the first day, the balance connector stopped reading for cells 1 and 3. Anyone? Oh, okay, so, all right. Let me grab one. Be right back. Oh, bear with me here. We're grabbing some stuff. I'm not in my my workshop. I'm over in my little other PC. So, Nicholas Briggs. First question: do you own a multimeter? If the answer is no, then stop. Do not continue. So what you need to do is you need to get yourself a better. There we go. So you need to get yourself a multimeter. If you don't have a multimeter, you need to get yourself a multimeter. And if you don't have a multimeter, you need to get yourself a multimeter. Here is a link to, let me get you a link to the multimeter I suggest if you don't have one. I have a few of these, and these are super, super useful. Come on, copy, and there you go. It's a pocket multimeter, super useful, works really well. Let me flip this around so it's not so crazy. There you go. Hey, look at that. OBS, gotta love it. So first thing you do is you need to have a multimeter. Then you got to have your crap pack here. This one. So there's a couple different things you could have going on. One, you could have a break in the wires. I'm going to turn me off so it's not distracting like that. So first thing you need to do is, or first place that you could have a problem is here in the wiring. You could have a small break in the wire. And if that's the case, it's pretty easy. You just pull it apart, strip it, solder it, put it back together. But you got to be very careful. The other thing is you could just have a dicked up balance connector. Maybe the pins aren't touching, but that's pretty unlikely. Most likely what your case is you have a dead cell. Here's how you check for a live cell, or check your dead cells. You need to decase the LiPo. Already, you're already getting into a world that you might not want to get into, and it may not be worth it if you don't have the patience or the steady hand to do this. So you're going to find your LiPos are covered with a ton of this orangish yellow tape. This is called Kapton tape. And you're going to see down in here that your balance lead goes to, come on, get out of there. All right. So your balance lead, like this. Let me try to get a better angle on this. So your balance lead here. Oh my God. Bear with me here. I'm going to turn the autofocus back on. Hopefully it doesn't go too crazy. All right. So you see your balance lead. Each wire goes to each one of the cells. So what this does is it picks up the overall voltage of the entire pack because it's in series. So each cell should be, let's say they're fully charged, so 4.2 plus 4.2 plus 4.2 plus 4.2 equals whatever math makes that, and then that will be your voltage here on this end. So if I have my meter in and I probe my XT60, I have 12 or 11.2 volts, which my math is at a Michigan public school level, so I'm going to get a calculator because it is that bad. So that gives me an average voltage of 2.8 volts per cell. So that's probably not right. That's probably telling me that I have a bad cell. So what you can do from here is, hopefully I can show this without screwing it up too much, is take your meter, put your black lead on one end of the balance connector, and then put the other one on the next cell over. So the first cell of this battery is only 0.0065 volts, so that thing is dead. The next cell is 3.72, and the next cell is, and these are adding, by the way, so this is cell 1, this is cell 2 plus 1, this is cell 3 plus cell 1, and then this is cell 1, 2, 3, and 4 all added together, if I can get a good probe on here. So if you want to check each cell individually, you can check it through the balance lead by probing these two connectors, then these two, then these two, then these two. That'll give you the voltage of each cell. And since you're plugging it into your checker and it's not working, what you can do is you decase this thing, put your negative lead here. So each cell has a positive and negative plate. So here's the negative lead and the positive lead. So you just do this, and that will tell you how many volts are in that particular cell. Swap your meter leads, and then you go to here. So the second cell in this pack has 3.7 volts. Next one is 3.7 volts, and this one is 3.7 volts. So this pack has a dead cell, and it's this first cell right here. That's how you determine whether your pack's dead, or if you just have a bad balance connector, or what. That's how you do it. Now, with that said, if you burn your house down, catch your face on fire, or anything, I care, but that's on you, buddy. Back to the chat. Drone off topic. My 3D printer has started making a bearing notchy sound. Still printing my GPS mount perfectly. Why do things break down? Yeah. Drone pilot, what printer do you have? Curious what printer you got. Why did that move? Wait, where am I going? Woo, there we go. Curious what Kapton tape is the best for lipo insulation before heat shrink, then together. Yep. Kapton tape has it basically won't burn or melt. John Larson, I destroyed a balance connector in a crash. The wires lit up like fuses on dynamite. They can and will do that. Celis, you also need the checker to install new leads to know what series they lie in. That is partially true. You can hook them up in any order as long as Benchcam. This one and this one go. This one goes to the very first cell ground, and this one goes to the very last cell positive. Everything in between doesn't really matter. It'll charge the pack just fine. But if you're trying to troubleshoot which cell's bad, that's where it'll throw you off. So if I swap these three wires around, this pack will charge just fine. Oh, well, I mean, this one won't because this one's junk, but it'll charge just fine. But if like you had a high impedance on one cell and it was not wired correctly, you might be misdiagnosing the cell. I've recovered them from dead cells in the past. Take them outdoors in the yard, zap the dead cell with current, burst current, it comes back to life. Yeah, I've had to do that a lot, especially with the Beta Light Radio 2. That thing has such a high parasitic draw on it when it's off that little 2S pack that comes in it, that thing will be junk in about 3 days, and your charger won't charge it. It'll be like, nah, I don't know, I don't see anything. So don't do this, kids, unless you know what you're doing. I have thrown it on the charger and done a straight, I'm going to center up my camera, done a straight lead acid charge to it for about 10-20 seconds until it started to build up some voltage. I quickly changed it to LiPo and it'll go, oh hey, there's battery here, and it'll start charging. It's super hard on the battery. It's a good way to catch your shit on fire. Don't recommend it. But if you know what you're doing and you're careful, there are ways around turning this into just another piece of e-waste. So this is, I can make this into a 3S pack, and this will be a perfectly fine 3S pack. All I have to do is desolder this, take this off, solder this leg here to this leg here, and then just get rid of this guy. Or don't, it doesn't really matter. You can just clip it off there. It'll just be a 4S connector, but it'll still read like a 3S pack. And then that'll be a perfectly useful 3S pack. Or if you have more than one dead pack, or more than one pack like this that's damaged, you can start adding and subtracting cells. There's a lot you can do. These things aren't just like one and done. Sell last night, buddy. I'll see you soon. Keep flying, buddy. Really appreciate you being a patron. So anyways, so now that I've given you good enough ammo to be able to burn your house down and screw your life up, you're welcome. Anyways, if you find this to be useful for you guys, if you find this to be useful, this type of information and tech talk that we're doing here, just real loose stuff. I'm not building anything on the bench. We're just kind of shooting the shit. Head over to Patreon, sign up. I got tiers as low as $2. Everything that comes in the channel goes right back into it, and like everything else, affiliate links are the way this industry works. If you want to do that, there you go. But I think that's about it for me tonight. This went on a lot longer than I was hoping it would, but I'm glad you all came along. I'm glad I made it a public stream after I got the giveaway away. By the way, if Ryan, you're out there, congratulations. You won the UZ65. You won the UZ65? Man, I'm bad at this today. Tired, real tired. All right, folks, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for checking us out. And I will see you all again soon. Please like and subscribe. And, you know, everybody keep cool out there. Keep safe. Do the right thing and help out your fellow man. That's what we're here for. Have a good one.